Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back here to today's edition of Intuitive Angling. And man, I really appreciate you guys making some time out of your day to spend with me on the video. Always very grateful for that. And guys, today we're going to be talking about some of the best ways to catch bass in the month of August. I sort of want to do a deep dive into this because last week I did the 3 top lures for the month of August. But I really today I want to give you guys sort of an insight into what bass do in the month of August, sort of their mood and their personality. And I got 3 different techniques that I want to share with you that work pretty much all over the country that I think is really going to help you catch some fish in the month of August. Because make no mistake about it, guys, August and early September it's the toughest time of year to catch fish, without a doubt. I mean, there's not another month out there that's more challenging to catch bass unless you fish up north for smallmouth or something. But it's a tough time to catch them this time of year, but I think some of these techniques I show you guys today is going to really help out. Also, guys, just a quick reminder, we've only got a couple days left in the July sale on my Solar Brat Series RB2 and RB3 Series sunglasses. If you get a pair by the end of July, you can get them at 30% off, and you can get a second pair for 60% off. So I'll put the Solar Brat link in the description. And man, I'd suggest the High-Con yellow lens. That's my favorite. It's really good for those lower light conditions. So much appreciated there. Okay guys, let's talk a little bit about why bass fishing is tough in the month of August and some things you can do to really offset that a little bit. Every single month on most lakes across the country, you have some level of transition and you have some change in the mood and the personality of the bass. And one of the things that you have in the month of August is you have bass beginning to disperse throughout the lake more. Earlier in the summer, like in the springtime of the year, you had, bass in more definitive positions. You had like a larger population of them suspended. You have a larger population of them on the bottom, small percentage of the fish shallow, some scattered throughout the water column. But in the month of August, especially when that water temperature starts maxing out, and you usually have an association of some falling water levels by August period, the combination of that hot water, low oxygen content, and dropping water, it scatters and disperses the fish more than they ever are. So what you notice is those fish that are out there deeper, whether they're suspended or on the bottom, the schools start to get smaller and you start to have more individual fish out there. The same with the shallow fish. The shallow fish start dispersing a little bit more and they're a little bit more widespread. And it's just tougher to get to generate a strike with them. It doesn't really matter what time of day you go out there. It's tougher to get a bite. And my personal theory on that is because I think a lot of fish in the summertime feed at night. I think that's where most all of the feeding goes on. And if you catch a bass during the daytime, it's sort of like from an opportunistic point of view from the bass. It's from a sense of you're creating a reaction strike sometimes. Curiosity, anger, a lot of different emotions that cause fish to bite a lure other than being hungry. But actually, if you want to catch the most fish in the month of August, go out at night. That's the best time. But for the daytime factors, we're going to talk about 3 techniques today. So that's sort of why you want to do that. Now, what I want to do in today's video is I want to break this up into 3 different type of techniques. I want to talk about fish in shallow water with moving bait, slow bait, and then I want to talk about a deep water application or mid-depth, sort of in the range there of both. So it'll sort of give you a diversity of techniques based upon the lake you're fishing. The techniques that I'm talking here will work on most any lake across the country because we're talking about these techniques will work best in anywhere between, lakes that have water visibility of a foot to, as clear as you want to get it. These things are going to work. So first of all, let's talk about the best deep water technique that I have found in the month of August in terms of catching fish out off the bank or in a little bit deeper water. Now, when I'm talking about deeper water for the technique that I'm going to talk about here, I'm talking about water visibilities that are at least 3 feet. Ideally, 4 to 5 foot clarity is going to be the best. And a lot of people associate those deeper fish with like live scoping them and catching them on little swim baits and drop shots and Nico rigs and stuff like that. But I want to talk about, guys, a bait we've talked about before on the channel. That's this Megabass Dark Sleeper. This is my #1 deeper water lure for the month of August. This is a hot water lure. If for whatever reason, I do best. If I can't get a bite on anything else fishing offshore, I can always get a bite on a Megabass Dark Sleeper. This, if you're not familiar with this, like I said, we talked about it before. It looks like a swim bait, but you don't fish it like a swim bait. You fish it like a jig. It's got a flat keel weight on the bottom. allows the bait to sit like that on the bottom, and you fish it just like you're hopping a jig through the water. And there's something about the profile and the size of the dark sleeper that is very appealing to the fish in the month of August. Now, this is the 3-inch model. Also, guys, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link in the description, and I'll link every one of the lures I'm talking about here if you want to try them out. This is the 3-inch model. They also have a 2.4-inch model. Let me see if I can dig it out here. And normally what the deal is I'll use the 3-inch model if the water visibility is sort of in that, that 3-foot range, something like that. And then if it's a little bit clearer, like if that water visibility is like 4 feet, of course I can't find my 2.4-inch right here. I'll have to dig that out later. But anyway, I can go to explain it. This is the 3-inch model, and they got a 2.4-inch model, which is shorter than this, looks the same. Water visibility sort of in that 3 to 4 foot range. I go with the 3-inch dark sleeper, and the water visibilities of over 4 feet. I go in that little 2.4-inch dark sleeper. Now, the way that you want to fish this, the easiest way to catch them on it is get out on a main lake point. It's better if you have a flatter point. It doesn't have to be flat, but any type of a main lake point that has some access to deep water, take the dark sleeper out there. If you're using the 3-inch one, put it on 10-pound test fluorocarbon, like some type of a medium heavy bait cast rod, and throw it out there, let it hit the bottom, and then just snap it hard off the bottom like that. Let it fall back down, snap it hard off the bottom. You don't want to throw it out there and just work it along the bottom, like you inch it along. You want to pop that thing hard off the bottom. And when you pop it, it comes up real fast like that, then it slowly sinks down. And popping it super hard like that will generate a reaction strike from those sluggish summer bass. Regardless, if you're fishing for smallmouth, spotted bass, or largemouth, it works on all 3 of them. Again, water visibility, right around that 3.5 foot range. I go to the 3-inch one, 2.4-inch on the other one. And on the 2.4-inch, I do fish it on 6-pound test fluorocarbon line on a spinning rod. Really, really good way to catch them. You can also catch some fish occasionally in the month of August if you have some main lake flats on there, especially if there's some type of a break on it, but you can't go wrong with any type of a point. It's just absolutely good. Also, swim beaches. For some reason, if you can find a swim beach in the month of August, popping that dark sleeper off of that swim beach is going to be a really good way to catch them. Now that will work about anywhere, guys. I don't care if you're fishing from the East Coast to the West Coast. It's a really, really good way to catch them. And it's a good option, like I said, to a shaky head or a Ned rig or something like that, or a football head jig. Now, the 2 other techniques that I'm fishing, which are my favorite ways to catch them, is involves shallow cranking and also fishing just a straight tail plastic worm. Now, for a slow bait like this, the number 1 technique that I found out in the month of August that I can catch fish on is fishing a black trick worm around shallow cover. Again, this is from experience, but one of the things I've noticed in the month of August is they like a black worm, especially if you got the right water clarity. This is a dirty water technique. If you got a lake that has less than 2 foot of visibility, take a black trick worm and put it on an 1/8 ounce slip sinker. This is the key on it. An 1/8 ounce slip sinker with like 15 to 17 pound tests. I use Seaguard and VisX fluorocarbon line, and pitch it and flip it around any shallow cover you have. My favorite place to fish it on in the summertime is around any boat dock. Doesn't matter if it's a pier dock or a floating dock. I just pitch it and flip it around the shady areas in that dock, and they really react good to a black trick worm. Also, it'll work good in anything. If you got water willows, if you got some shallow cattails, lily pads, shallow grass, lay down trees, stumps, really, really good way to catch them in the month of August. That little straight-tailed worm on an 1/8 ounce sinker. I've tried heavier sinkers. I've tried different type of worms, creature baits, but when you're talking about when the fish want a slow presentation, I have not found another bait in the month of August that outproduces the black trick worm. Just give that a try. And the last one, which is my favorite way to catch them in the month of August, if you guys are regulars to the channel, you've heard me talk about this. But this is without a doubt my number 1 way to catch bass in the month of August with this one color. This is that Megabass Super Z2 crankbait. This is a freaking fish catching son of a gun, guys, in the frozen glass color. Again, I'll put my Tackle Warehouse link with this color. It's a blue back. It's sort of got like a pearl side on it. This bait will run probably about 4 to 5 feet, but I don't fish it that deep. I fish it shallow, like 2 to 3 foot deep. And there's something about when you got hot water and you got water visibility, any water visibility that's under about 2.5 foot of visibility, guys, do yourself a favor and try this bait right here. It will catch them better. It'll catch them better than a square bill. It'll catch them better than any crankbait I have ever seen in the month of August. It's a small bait, which in the month of August fish like smaller lures. And I fish this thing in any shallow water cover in dirty water. If there's a lay down tree there, I'll pitch it up in the middle of that lay down tree, and this thing crawls over the limbs real good. Fish it next to a stump, fish it next to the side of a boat dock, fish it down a rocky bank, fish it on the edge of a grass line. Number one deal. And so I'm looking for the dirty water. So on both of these techniques, with the black trick worm and with the crankbait, I'm going to the part of the lake that I feel has got the most dirty water. And usually that's the river arm portion, or it's the, some type of a major creek, like the back end of a major creek. Those are my 3 favorite ways, guys. You don't have to, if you don't want to get out there and spotlight for them, and you don't want to weenie worm around and throw a drop shot for vertical, fish like that, just try those 3 things. I mean, this is a fun way. This dark sleeper is a fun way to catch them because you're fishing deep. It's a finesse. It's a power finesse technique. You can cover a lot of water with it. This is a 1/2 ounce bait. It gets down to the bottom in a hurry. You can pop it up. You can cover a lot of water. You can cover a lot of points. And it's like finesse fishing a power bait. And anytime I go fishing in the month of August, guys, I have these 3 baits tied on. But the main thing is with it is if you have a hard time catching them in the month of August, don't get discouraged, because it's not easy to catch them. I mean, it's hard to catch bass in the month of August, and it's also probably the hardest month of the year to catch big fish in. Very difficult to catch a big fish in the month of August. If you do catch a big one, congrats, because they're hard to come by this time of year, but it'll stay like that up until the water temperature starts falling into late September, that type of deal. So anyway, if you're struggling in August, try those 3 techniques there. I'm pretty confident it'll get you some bites, and talk to y'all later.